All right, we reached the part where we are going to write the code that will play the game. So right now, we've just manually had to play one turn at a time, or just exactly one turn. So what we're going to do here is facilitate the playing of the game until there is a winner or until there is a cat's game. Okay, so in order to do that, we're going to complete all of these steps. A lot of them are right here, but they'll take place inside of this play function. So there'll be a lot of repetition, and then I'm going to delete all of this code that we've been using for testing, and then we will actually play the game. All right, so here's number one. I'll print out a welcome message. So we can just say, welcome to Tic-Tac-Toe. Okay, great. Create a board. That's what we've already done. And assign it to the board variable. Default mark to X, so we're going to do that. So we're just setting up the game at this point. Now, during each player's turn, and notice I have indented this list over here, print out a message for displaying whose turn. So now we're going to continuously go have a player's turn until the game is over. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a while true pattern over here for this. So this will repeat. So this is the player's turn. So I can put a little comment over here. This is player's turn. Okay, we want to print out a message saying whose turn it is. So I've already done that right here. That's great. I'm going to collect row and call. So I've done that as well. So here's row and call. And then we're going to check the position, whether it's open. Now, if the position is open, then I'm going to place the mark. Otherwise, I'm going to print out some messages to the screen and have the player start its turn again. All right, so this is actually down here. Let me copy and paste this. I'm going to check whether this position is open, like this. So I've done that. I'm not going to print out position open. I'm going to place the mark. So I'm going to copy this over here. I've already run this code. And let me make this a little better. It says print out a message. So position taken. Now, I don't want any of this rest of the code block to run. So I want the player to restart their turn. So we've learned about this, but we have not really used it much, is the continue keyword. So this goes back to the beginning of the loop. So it says, all right, something has happened. We need to restart or go to the next iteration of this loop. So if it's a position that's already taken, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's go over here and move on. So now that the mark is placed, we're going to print the updated board to the screen. So we're just going to output the board at this point. And then we're going to check for the end of game. So if the game is over, exit the program. All right, so we'll run this. So remember, this returns true or false. So if it's the end of the game, it will also print out the message. So it's doing two things, right? It's printing out a message and it's returning true or false, which is why I can have it right here. So if is the end of the game, then we will just exit the program. So we're going to break out of this loop and go to wherever this loop ends, which is actually going to be nothing. So it'll just be the end of the program. Otherwise, we're going to change turns. So we have this down here, mark equals change turn. Now we already print out whose turn it is like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and we can now delete all of this testing code. And let's just look over the code one more time. So we're going to print out a welcome message. We're going to create the board. We're just going to default the mark to X. And we're going to keep playing continuously until the end of the game. All right, so on each player's turn, so the body of the loop is one player's turn, right? Maybe I should say that, one player's turn. All right, we're going to collect the row and the column. And then if that position is open, we will place the mark. Otherwise, we will say the position is taken and we'll continue to the top of the loop and we'll just collect another row and column. All right, so if the position is open, we place the mark and then we output the board so we see the updated board. And then we check, obviously, if it's the end of the game. So if it's either a winner or a cats game. If it is the end of the game, we will break. There will be a message printed out over here. So don't worry, that'll still happen if there is an end of the game. If it's not the end of the game, no message is printed out and we just change the turn and then we go back up to the top of the loop over here. All right, now the only thing we need to do, we need to uncomment this. And so this is outside of any function. So let's take a look at our entire program. And we need to make these empty spaces again. Like this. All right, so we define all of these functions. And then the only one that is called is the play function. The play function calls other functions, which all call one of these other functions. So they all get called at some point. Okay, let's go ahead and see if this runs. Okay, so it's player X's turn. Enter row 0, 1, or 2. So let's just go maybe right in the middle. Okay, so there it is. So now it says player O's turn. So now we're at the top of the loop. And it's going to rerun all of this code. This code only gets run one time, right? So the welcome message is printed out once, the board gets created once, and then the mark is defaulted. Okay, so now O is going to go. We can say O goes at 0, 0 up here. Great. So it gets placed there. That looks good. We can have X go, let's put X, let's try to make X go in the wrong position. So 0, 0, it says position is taken, and it's still X's turn. So they have to go again. Say 0, 1. Now that is correct. And we'll make this just a short game. Now it's O's turn. Let's put a bad input. So I put 5. Okay, now it says value must be 0, 1. Let's put a string. Value must be 0, 1, or 2. Great. So let's put O at 2, 2. Way over here. Okay, good. Now it's X's turn. Let's go ahead and end the game. So we will say row 2 and then column 1, and we should have a winner. So it prints it out and says X wins, and then it exits the loop, and there's nothing more to be run. All right, so we should test for a lot of different cases for cats game, diagonal wins, and horizontal wins, and so forth. But suffice it, we've actually done quite a bit of testing. This is not formal testing, of course, but hopefully you see that as we're writing the code, we are testing each little bit to make sure that it runs properly, and which is a very important part of coding. So this is our final game. You could add some doc strings here if you'd like to make it more readable. But what I really want to show in this game is that every little piece of the game has been broken out. So every little task that you can think of, you might not think tic-tac-toe would take, I believe it's about 13 functions here in order to create, but it has. Yeah, we've had 13 steps over here. And the play function itself is somewhat big, but it's not too bad. You could think about even breaking this up into maybe another function, but I think it works just fine. So every little task has a function. A lot of these functions are simply one line, so there's not a whole lot going in here, but just by defining it with a name really helps when you read through the logic of the play function. So you can really hopefully see, you can follow through the play function pretty easily. Not quite like it's plain text, but somewhat in that direction, that it's pretty comprehensible and easy to digest to see what's going on. All right, so that wraps up the tic-tac-toe function in Python. Hopefully that was a lot of fun to build. We'll be building more games like this in the future and actually making this code a little bit more robust once we learn about classes. All right, so that's it. Play the game a few times, show it off to your friends, and you can improve on it too as well. You can make for a better output for sure than just printing out a list like this with all the commas. You can maybe make a board that prints out like a proper tic-tac-toe board. All right, so that's it. And for module 13, tic-tac-toe.